Hi there, this is Giovanni here at Fractals. It's quite a different setting today, but I managed to get myself a houseplant, and it is a truth universally acknowledged that it can highly improve the sound of our modular synthesizer, because today I want to put into practice an idea that I found in one of the many Rob Hordijk's masterclasses, which is the implementation of a sample and hold into an audio circuit. It's going to be quite similar to the Krell patch that we previously analyzed, but this is on the verge between modulation and audio rate, as many of Hordijk's ideas and circuits, which I am particularly very fond of. So let's see. So the patch is going to be quite different because I will rely a lot on SAPÈL, and which has a sample and hold circuit. As a matter of fact, it has 8 sample and hold circuits in that, but all of them are sampling different thermal noise sources, which are basically the same. They have the same property, but being different, they will certainly output different values from one another. And so it will be a sort of a closed sample and hold. I won't be able to use an oscillator, for example, to sample, like to be sampled, but I think it's gonna be as interesting. And I will also use the Brinso and the Kunsa. And then we will see if we can take the patch even further. So I will start by patching Brinso's sawtooth into the CGM mixer, like this. And at the same time, I'm gonna set it to a slightly low value. And at the same time, I will use the square wave output of the same oscillator to trig SAPÈL. Now, SAPÈL can't go past 500 Hz because its minimum impulse length is 2 milliseconds, which is basically 500 Hz. So if I push my oscillator faster than that, it will reset. I can listen actually to that by patching the trigger output straight into the CGM mixer. You can see that as I approach, it drops as I approach 500 Hz. But it's not a problem really, because we will, as I said earlier, we will play on the verge between audio and sub-audio today. But the point is that SAPÈL now is working at audio rate. And I will take my, I don't know, I can start with the 2 to the end output and patch it to the volt per octave input of our Brinso oscillator, which is going to be very noisy. But the cool thing is that now you can see that it has a sort of intermittent pulse, and the reason is that Brinso is now affecting, is that SAPÈL at every wave cycle is generating a different value that changes the duration of the next wave cycle. So it's gonna be something very unpredictable and super fun. I can experiment also with other sources. This one is more tonal because the N+1 just doubles the frequency. And since I am using the volt per octave input, I am obtaining a waveform that goes, that can just go twice or 4 times or 8 times faster. And so it stays somehow within the harmonic spectrum in a very generous definition. And then I have the sample and hold, which provides the more unpredictable behavior to the point that it might even stall our SAPÈL. But still, I want to use, I think I might start with the 2 to the n power. And What I want to do now is patch my sawtooth into the Kunsa and then take the filter output. Let's start with the low pass, 24 dB per octave. Let's use a very vanilla setting like this. So I'm using VCA to 3 o'clock and the Q and character to 9 o'clock. And I am obtaining this very gentle, but not so gentle and not even so pleasant sound. Now I want to use this switch here, which allows me to scale the frequency of the green oscillator down to sub-audio rate. And I am now hearing just some pops here and there. But now I can push this up a bit, like this. And this is more or less the point where, with a combination of offset and modulation, I am playing between audio rate and sub-audio rate. And at this point, I just want to give it a very generous amount of Q control. And right now I am almost, I'm basically ringing the filter because I am exciting its resonant circuit with short bursts into the audio input, like this. Nothing that we haven't seen already. And now I want to patch, to multiply my signal with the 333, my volt per octave signal generated by SAPÈL 2 to the nth power. This is a volt per octave signal. I could also have used an unquantized sample and hold that doesn't respond to the volt per octave signal, but I will patch it back into the green oscillator, and at the same time I will patch it to Kunsa's volt per octave input. So right now my random values will shift the speed of our impulses and the frequency of our filter by the same ratio. It creates a very organic sound I am particularly fond of, and I can now reduce my brainsaw speed like this. And obtain a very pleasant variation of the current patch, because the application is nearly the same. I am using a sample and hold in a modulation feedback to affect every cycle, which now can be also our audio source. And I think that we can take this patch even further by setting all the filters to the same configuration, Q and character, and also to the same input level. And I'm gonna start by tweaking all the outputs down except for the filter 1, which we've been hearing this whole time, and we can bring in the other filters. And we can also play with different filter behavior like bandpass. Or high pass if we want more crunch at the high end. To some people, this can just be the sound of a broken engine. I acknowledge that. I agree to disagree because I found this sound extremely pleasant to listen to. Maybe it's an acquired taste. But let's do what we did also for the Krell patch. And let's set up a new track on the Usta sequencer. Let us set the clock to external. And let's use our square wave output from the brain saw to start a new sequence. And we will use a CVA to modulate the pitch and the speed, the pitch of the filters and the speed of our oscillator. We can program a sequence. I'm gonna go with a very simple one. You can see that as soon as I played the sequence an octave higher, the clock speed instantly doubled. And with this kind of setting, I think it's good to play with wide octave jumps to make the effect even more dramatic. And we can stick like this. An extra thing that we can do is play with the variation index and range, so randomizing a portion or whole of our sequence. I like to work mainly with the last 4 or 5 stages like this. So I'm gonna give it a very high variation index and range. And maybe I can quantize my scale to a Dorian scale. And this was my Rob Hordijk's inspired idea. I am sure that many of you are already familiar with that. And if so, I'd like to hear more about your thoughts on that. If you use it, how you use it, and stuff like that. As always, let me know in the comments below. Or we can discuss this on our Discord server that I will link also in the description. And for now, I hope you found this video useful, and I will see you next time with more ideas.